Hey y'all, well here we are on a Monday in a different time, I guess. Hope y'all had a decent weekend amongst all of it. A few people would even begin to guess where I decided to sit down. Got a lot of thoughts, don't know I'll get them all out, don't know that I'll even articulate them right, but maybe you'll get the spirit of it. I do know there's a young man in that house I'm looking at, a back door that's been passed through many times over the last 100 years, and he's part of a generation that a lot of us jeer and laugh at. We call them millennials or whatever. Trouble is, we taught them. I'm sitting in an old outhouse that was built in 1945 or so, probably a little bit before that, by the Civilian Corps, I believe they call it. Still in effect today, but it was done at a different time. No, I'm not using the restroom. I noticed, though, I thought I'd come out here and look. Y'all see any toilet paper holders in here? I don't. Everything else is still standing. There's not even screw holes where they might have been. I've got my own suspicions on how that business was done. But it was a different time when that nail was put into that board and that tin. It didn't have a window. I did that. Had a little air hole in the vent. It was a different time. The year was 1941 when the U.S. had to leave their isolationist policy and get involved with fighting sheer evil across the sea. When I say it was a different time, I've had that on my mind. There's not many of them left, less than 50,000, I'd probably say, that came up through the greatest generation. They were called upon by their country to serve and to conserve and to unite together to fight a common enemy. They really didn't have all the answers. Less than 3,000 people died on that island in Hawaii that day. It was enough to let them know they had to get involved and do something. They really didn't know what they were really fighting against at that point. The evil only made itself apparent later. They united, they recycled their trash, and yes, they conserved. They had rations. They didn't complain. They united. It fixed a lot of things after the Great Depression, or at least put them on a different path. People went to work. That old outhouse was built by some Germans out of Sharina, Texas. They were unemployed. A government program that didn't just write a check. It wrote a check for labor in exchange for some good. That good happened to be an old outhouse. It still stands in that pasture with no toilet paper roll. By the way, I did plant some toilet paper seeds over there. I got 3 rows of them coming up. Those that know anything about much will know what kind of crop we've got coming up. It's dual purpose. It'll start as a food sustenance. It'll even wrap a few tamales with its outer self. And I guess in a pinch it would do as a semi-sanitary item. Just struck me though. I remember growing up, and my generation, kids really weren't allowed in adult conversations, maybe more than my dad's generation, but when there was serious business, it was talked about behind closed doors among adults. Started to share some of these thoughts the other evening, just in a written post, but knew my kids would read it. They already know how I feel about it. But this one's almost geared toward 40 and above. Conversations behind closed doors that adults had. I remember as a early teen, may not even been a teenager, there was a little problem in the church, maybe pastoral leadership, whatever it was. There was a meeting at my dad's home where I lived with my dad and my mom, and I'll never forget, I can still see it in my mind. Behind the shuttered doors they went, and we were sent on our way to go play with sticks or just be a kid. I know now what that conversation was behind that closed door. Pretty serious stuff. But then I wasn't privy to it. And I embraced and enjoyed life and went on about my way. We owe that to our kids, y'all. Be like our grandparents. A lot of you have concerns and questions and all, but my Lord, we're both voicing them like idiots. Talk about it among your peers. Keep the children. I don't know why I'm so impressed with that. Now I know what it must have felt like for my granddad to see that horrible day in 1941 across the sea, knowing he had a family. He had to hold it together. And they came through it. We all did. I guess I'm here because of it. So for what it's worth, be positive. Let's have fun with the memes. Well, I crack up at most of them. But let's remember, there are little ears listening. There are little ears watching. We taught them to be grown adults at 5 years old through our behavior. Now it's coming home to roost. They may be scared, but they may not tell you that. Let's show them some leadership like our grandparents did, right? Maybe most of you won't get it. I suspect most of you will. Y'all be the light. Let them kids be kids. Circle the wagons, keep the adult conversation to yourself, and hold the line. Grandparents did it. Let's do it. Be the light, y'all.